Hello, welcome to Aaron's Game Room. I'm Aaron as always, and a couple years ago, during October for my spooky themed Halloween stuff, I talked about what I called the Stephen Rhodes trilogy of games. 3 games, all made by Cryptozoic with the help of an artist, Stephen Rhodes, who does this like retro 70s children's art style book, but always with a dark twist to them style stuff. And they made these 3 games based off of some of his shirts. And I thought this whole trilogy fit pretty well with the sort of spooky theming of October, so I did that. Spent that whole month doing that. The last year, though, I gotten in a new trilogy of Stephen Rhodes' game. However, if you've been paying attention, I didn't go over all 3 of these, because I just felt like this trilogy didn't fit the spooky vibes as well as the first one. For the first one, pretty much they were all spooky-ish vibe. You could say Don't Talk to Strangers, the other one might not be, but I think aliens are pretty horror adjacent, right? And the only one I want to talk about so far is Let's Call the Exorcist, because obviously that's a good horror-themed one. The other 2, however, I have The Natural World Cryptozoology for Beginners and Living Well is the Best Revenge. At the time of last spooky season, I hadn't even played the Cryptozoology one yet, and this one I definitely didn't feel fit the thing, so I didn't talk about them. So hey, I know this is a long way of just saying, let's finally finish up this second trilogy. Today, let's talk about Living Well is the Best Revenge. Living Well is a game brought to us by Cryptozoic, Dynamite Games, Stephen Rhodes, and to be honest, the quick of it is, it's kind of just a version of Close the Box. I think that's what you call that old game. While I might not find the game overall horror-themed, I will say that's certainly a very creepy image on the inside of the box. And this is the only one of his 6 games that has an image in here. It's interesting and weird. Anyway, let's get on with the rest of the game. This is a game for 2 to 4 players. You're going to need to make sure every player has one of these colored point trackers, a set of 2 dice matching their color, the golden dice with pips matching their color, and the black dice with pips matching their color. Well, actually, the gold sort of comes later, but you can keep it around. They'll need to have a set of 10 cards numbered 1 through 10 that again match their color, and they will need a little point tracker that matches their color, and lastly, give each player one of these reroll tokens. Here, they are double-sided. Basically, at the end of the game, if you don't use these, they're each worth 2 points. But yeah, make sure each person has one of those, and then just set the rest of them off to the side close. Let's show you what setup should look like. And here's how you should look at the end of setup. You'll want to have all the cards with the locked side up, numbered 1 through 10 in front of you. Keep your score tracker off to the side, your reroll token, and again, make sure you have your 2 normal dice, your black die, which is your power die, and then the gold one, you can either keep it in the box or just keep it further off to the side, but just remember, you're not going to be using that one at first. That's something you can unlock later. Now, these cards, for the most part, are just some art, where they're usually showing something lame about you, as well as giving you an idea of what the power you can unlock on the other side is for getting to flip this card over, and we'll explain that here in a second gameplay. But yeah, let's go in this. So Living Well is the Best Revenge is a game played over 3 rounds. What I'm about to explain is everything you do during 1 round, and basically once you're done with the round, you just reset, do it all over again, then do it all over again, and then there's your final game. At that point, whoever has the highest score wins the game. So let's go over a round. So for the very first turn, you actually kind of skip some of the normal steps. You sort of do step 1 and then jump to step 4, and then we'll go over all the rest here in a sec. So for the very first turn, every player simultaneously is going to roll their 2 normal die, the ones that are fully your color. Every player is going to roll those, and then we immediately jump to the 4th step of a round to finish up round 1, which is what you do is you can flip over cards that are locked, and it's the start of the game, so all your cards are locked, that add up to this total. So, this is 4. You can flip over any number of cards you want whose total themselves adds up to 4. So I could flip over just my number 4 one here, or I could do the 3 and the 1. If I had a higher number choice, I might be able to mix it more, but that's all I could personally do. Let's try another roll. 7, a little better. So again, I can flip over just a 7. I can do a 6 and a 1, a 5 and a 2. I can do a 4 and a 3. I can do a 3, 2, and 1. I know it's only 6, but still, I'd be allowed to do that. Oh, no, wait, it has to add up to exactly. So I can't. Never mind. Don't listen to me. I'm an idiot. 4, 2, and 1. There we go. But yeah, it's your choice of which cards you want to flip over. Just make sure the cards you flip over add up to this number. Now again, that is just round one, or not round one, that is the first turn of any round. All players roll at once, flip over some cards, and then whoever rolled the lowest is going to be your first player and begin the round normally from there. If you have players that are tied for lowest, then whoever rolled the single lowest die, and if players are still tied, then they can start rolling their power die, that black die I showed you, to see who eventually rolls the lowest finally to finish it off. Anyway, let's get going. I should probably mention real quick why you're flipping cards over, or why you would want to. Each card has its own little special ability, some modifier or something on them that triggers whenever your power die matches other players, or sometimes just some standard effects in general. Sorry, my glare is probably making that really hard to read. But yeah, so these are all abilities that you do not have access to normally, but as soon as you flip the card over, then you get access to what that power is. We might go over this better in a sec, but that's sort of the name of the game. Is you're flipping over cards. The more you flip over, the more powers and stuff you have access to, but also the more cards you flip over, the less variety you have in choosing which cards to flip over later. Because again, you have to flip over cards that match your roll. If you can't do that, hey, that's how you lose the game. So at the start of your turn now, you're going to roll all 3 dice now. Not this first one you roll, so you roll all 3 of these, your normal dice and your power die. And all of your opponents are also going to roll their power die. All right? That is important. So once you've rolled all yours, then your opponents are going to check their power die and compare it to your roll before you do anything. What your opponents are trying to do is they are trying to roll a number that matches a number they've unlocked, not me, this would be a purple, so purple will be looking for 2. If purple has not unlocked their 2 card, then that means nothing. But if purple had unlocked their 2 card, then they can check what I rolled, and if I had also rolled a 2 anywhere on these 3 dice, that would score purple 1 point immediately. So let's say, for example, I had rolled this. They rolled a 2. Again, pretend this is purple. They have a 2 unlocked. I rolled a 2. Purple scores 1 point. So every turn, your opponents have a chance of possibly scoring a point off of you if all the stuff adds up right. That's also where this comes in. If you have this unlocked, this is also a power die, so you'd roll that as well. And it's the same situation. Your number, compare. All right, moving on. Step 3 is using any of the unlocked abilities you have. So you've rolled your dice, your opponents have rolled their dice and see if they can get a score off you, and now you can use your abilities to mess with your roll and stuff like that. So for example, let's say I had 7 unlocked. That means I could use this ability now to subtract 1 from my roll. Yeah, so since this is 8, if I wanted to use my ability of 7 here, which is subtract 1, that means I actually count this as 7 instead, which I might want to do again to help with what cards I'm flipping over, since I have to flip over cards that add up to exactly that number. If I can't do that, I am out for the round. I lose the round and I can't get any more points. So that's why you might use something like these. Again, you have to have them unlocked. Your power die is used in this phase by if you roll a number that matches the ones that say power die. 1 through 6 have special abilities, but only if you match the power die to them. So since I rolled a 1 this turn and I haven't flipped over 1, then I get nothing. But if my power die had rolled a 3, then I could choose to use this ability, which is steal 3 points from another player. And last of the round, once you're done using any of these abilities, you will do like we did earlier, and you will simply flip over cards that add up to that number. I'm not going to use 7, I'm going to keep it an 8. I'm going to go ahead and flip my 8 over, and boom, that's my turn. Next player goes, repeat process. A round like that continues, players taking turns, until one of 2 things happens. Either there's only 1 player left, because like I said, if you ever cannot flip over cards that add up to your number, you're out. You get kicked out for the round, or you're knocked out, as it says. You won't be rolling anymore. No more points for you this round, at least. There's 2 more rounds. So if you get knocked out, then there's only 1 player left, then they win the round. Or if 1 player gets all 10 of their cards flipped face up, then the round is immediately over there as well. Do some final scoring, and then do it all again. Before starting that next round, there are, I said, 2 little bonus points you can get at the end of a round. If you won by being the last player left standing, you're going to roll 2 dice and just gain that many points. If you won by using unlocking all 10 of your cards, then you're going to roll all 4 dice, add that up, and get that many points. And that's everything for a round. You're going to end up having everyone flip all their cards back to the lock side, put the gold dice back off to the side, and then just start again. Do all that 3 times, and again at the very end of the game, whoever has the highest score wins the game. Simple enough. Oh, I should show you the scorecards real quick. You'll see they only go to 50, and games quite regularly score higher than 50. Once you get 50, just flip it over to its gold side, and there you go. You have another 100. If you somehow progress even farther than 100, you can flip it back, but make sure this is on its gold side so you know you're now going beyond 100. I don't know if I've seen that, but yeah. Oh, and like I mentioned earlier, at the end of the game, any unused reroll tokens are worth 2 points. You can gain more of these throughout the game. I believe this power-up lets you gain more of them. Otherwise, if you want to ever use these, it's pretty obvious. It's a reroll token. So once you do your rolling on a turn, oh man, I don't like that number. Turn in the thing and reroll some dice. One thing to be careful about this is changing your rolls here does affect other players' power dice. So originally I did not roll a 2, but now I've re-rolled into a 2, so that could cause that player to score off of me. Just keep it in mind. This is one that I like pretty much right away. I mean, the art is Stephen Rhodes, so obviously I'm a fan of it, and I do kind of like the funny transitions. Drag to dragon, cowboy to cowboy, pariah to pirate, losers to lasers, ding dong to King Kong, zero to hero, lame to fame, hot mess to hot rod, twerps to perps, and alone to clone. Actually, since I got the Kickstarter version of this, I have a bonus extra one I can put in instead of having alone to clone, I could instead put in Bonehead to Bone Lord as a fun little reference to Let's Dig for Treasure. But I believe, like it says, Kickstarter exclusive, so sorry. As far as gameplay, it's just a spin on an old classic. I mean, I see those shut-the-box games every time I'm walking into a Barnes & Noble or any kind of, like, non-traditional game store. There's pretty much always some old version of that still sitting around. So it's one of those things that it's kind of a hard way to fail. You pretty much are always going to have some success on taking a classic game that a lot of people like and just putting a new little spin on it. That's exactly what this is, and they did it. Of course it's fine. Again, Stephen Rhodes' art is cool and fun. Always a fan of that stuff. The game itself, pretty simple and all that. It's a little, like, hard, like, do this, do that, like, certain, very tight time frame a little bit, I think. But that's just, you play a round or two of it, a game, and you're gonna be good. You're gonna be fine. It's not that hard. Just a little bit of, like, everyone roll. Okay, now check. Cool. It's sort of a bit of, I gotta check my die, then check my card, then check your die. But whatever. It's not that big a deal. Again, that's part of the twist. That's part of the extra. I don't believe that's anywhere in the original Close the Box game. But definitely simple enough. I think it's definitely fun to kind of be able to piggyback off of your opponents and all that. I think it is pretty thinky on deciding how many cards you want to flip over, because the more cards you flip over, then the easier it is to score your bonus points and the more abilities you have unlocked. But the more cards you flip over, then you have fewer choices on what to flip over later, and that could make it more likely you're going to get knocked out. So I think there actually really is some strategic choices to be made throughout the game, which is really cool. Again, with a lot of the abilities also being fun little stuff to add in. The 7 through 9, letting you sort of control your rolls a little better. Those are really good. The 1 through 6 are ones you can trigger with your power die. Again, to flip over those faster, the more likely you can trigger those abilities. But again, you're possibly setting yourself up for a knockout. Some of the abilities kind of have some take that on stealing and stuff for your opponent and all that, which can be cool and great. So, I mean, Living Well is the best revenge. It's a simple, good, dice chucking fun that can be played by, I think, a pretty wide variety of ages. They say 14 and up, but I think pretty much all the Stephen Rhodes do, because they consider the art maybe a little more teen. Gameplay-wise, you could definitely play this with younger players. Again, I think it's fun to throw the colorful dice. It's great to piggyback off each other and steal some points. There's some decent strategic choices to be made. The art's fun. Nothing, I think, in the art is too adult to play with younger kids or anything. Yeah, Living Well is the best revenge. For me, is definitely Baron approved, guys.